So just take the arms out into a T-shape. We'll look at keeping the shoulders nice and stable. We're just going to gently take those knees from side to side. So making sure that as you take your knees over to the right, that your left shoulder doesn't lift, and vice versa. And start to just think about these abdominal muscles doing that work. So just gently bringing the knees back towards the centre, using those abdominal muscles. So just start to connect with all those core muscles now. So you're not just waving the knees, you're using the weight of the knees to wake up everything in the centre. And back into the middle. Just have a little check on your position, make sure you haven't come out of your neutral pelvis, because we're going to just start to just challenge your stability a little bit now. So we're going to bring the legs one at a time up into your tabletop position. We're just going to repeat the hip rolls. If you find this is too much, you can repeat with your feet on the floor. Just make sure your shoulders are nice and stable. Make sure you're not bringing the knees too far back towards the body. And we're just going to start just rolling those hips side to side. Think about that breath flow. So you can inhale for one side, exhale. And again, start to think about those abdominal muscles doing the work for you. I always try and imagine that I'm bringing the hip diagonally back up towards the rib. So imagine that sort of diagonal band of muscle working. I'm going to do 2 more. Come into your last one. Back to the centre. Hug those knees up into the chest. Good. Okay. So we're going to just continue just to challenge the centre of the body a little bit, work those abdominal muscles, think about that positioning, so really strict that you're not arching that back and you're not pushing your back down into the mat too much. Just a nice, easy, neutral position. So again, I'm going to bring those legs up into your tabletop position. Take the arms up, and we're just going to come into some toe dips. So keeping that nice angle behind the knee, so you're not closing up that angle at all. So you're not just cheating and bending the knee, actually working from hip. Think about that breath flow. Tucking back the tummy button, so switching on those core muscles. Good. Keep it on that back position, so we don't want any arching of the back. Just drawing that tummy button back towards the spine. Just about 30% of your what's the word for it? Your effort, your maximum effort. So you don't want to be drawing it back sort of so you can't move. Just about 30% switching on. We'll do one more on each leg. And bring those knees up. Have a little roll around. Just give your back a little bit of a stretch. Okay, just have a couple of seconds. Breathe out the drink if you want to have a drink. Okay. So today's theme, we're going to really be focusing on keeping stable, strong and switched on through the centre. So using the legs as a body weight. So what we don't want to be doing is just kind of waving limbs about and just being unstable through the centre. We want to be creating that stability through your centre and then being able to move the arms and legs independently. And the better you become and the stronger you become at controlling your core muscles, so all the muscles around the trunk of the body, including your glute muscles, the better you get at controlling those, the more effectively you'll be able to exercise and the more safely you'll be able to exercise. So you don't want to be compromising that back by arching it, which is why we want to start to build on these muscles. Okay, so bringing the knees back up into your tabletop position again. If this one's too much for you, continue with your toe dips. For those of you that want to challenge a little bit more, really focus on tuck back, and we're going to come into your double toe lifts, or your double knee lifts, whatever you want to call it. So you inhale in to prepare, exhale as the legs go down. Inhale to prepare, exhale as the legs come up. So really try and focus on making sure that you don't bring the legs more of an angle than your right angle. If you do, you're going to start coming out of your neutral position in the other direction. So you're going to start pushing the back down into the mat too much. So really try and focus on that breath flow. Especially as you start to get tired, it really helps. If you hold your breath, you won't be able to move as effectively. So remember, the slower you can move, it's really really tempting to just be sort of moving like this, but as you can see, my back won't stay in neutral position, it's rolling your pelvis. So the more slow and controlled you can be, the better. Okay, we're going to do 2 more. So keep that breath flow going, keep that tummy button tucked back. Last one. And gently feet down. Okay, so you might find the front of your hips are just aching a little bit from that one, so just take those legs straight. Just give that a little bit of a stretch off at the front of the hips. Just take a moment to have a breather. And we'll just increase that stretch at the front of the hip a little bit, just by bringing your opposite knee up towards your chest. Try and make sure that you don't rotate that leg out. So just gently hold that stretch and breathe. And then we'll have to swap onto your other leg. So other leg nice and straight, and this leg nicely up towards that body. Good. Okay. So just going to continue with a couple more exercises on the back. Again, looking at stability. So the next one's a little bit of a more a quick exercise, or a quicker exercise. So again, we want to work on that control. We don't want rolling around and instability through your body. So again, we want to be focusing on that little tuck back of the tummy button. Or some people think about tucking the tummy button back, some people think about just drawing up the pelvic floor. Some people think about going into a cold sea, and as the water comes up, you're sort of drawing those muscles sort of away from that cold water. So anything, whatever works for you, just then visualise that. So for this one, we're going to come up into small sit up, and we're going to start off with one knee held up towards the body, one leg straight. We're going to come into your single leg stretch. So we're coming into this exercise. So we're going to do a a couple of rounds. I'm going to count you through. So we're going to move quite quickly with this exercise, so it's just a little bit of a revitaliser. So we're going to do sets of 10, so off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, rest, and last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and rest. Bring those knees up, have a little bit of a break. Okay. So we'll just give the back a little bit of a stretch through your cat stretch. Just feel free to have a drink. It's humid again, it is at the minute anyway, first thing in the morning. So just coming onto all fours, just bring that back up into a nice arch. Dropping the head down. Think about changing the angle of the hips for this one. So as you're bringing your back up and dropping the head down, that angle of the hip gets bigger. As you're dropping the back down, the head goes back, the angle's getting a little bit smaller, and that helps you stay in a nice neutral, nice centred position, rather than sort of pushing your hips backwards and forwards. Just think about the angle. And then just push back into your child's pose. Just take a couple of breaths. Just going to look a little bit now at a little bit of core control, a little bit of abdominal work, just with your within your cat position. So this one is your drinking lion. So I'll give you two different options for this one. Just again stick with whatever works for you. So first option, you just need to take your hands a little wider, and you're just going to just gently drop down towards the mat and then come forward as if you're drinking from a lake. That's what they say, the teaching cue is. So drawing back with those core muscles, really tucking up the abdominals to bring you back into your starting position. Or your alternative, you're going to take your feet up off the floor, so you're just balancing on your knees, and again you're going to inhale, exhale, come forward, draw the tummy button back to bring you up into your start position. So up onto the knees, inhale, exhale, drawing back those abdominal muscles, come back up into your start position. And again, inhale, exhale, have that drink, tummy button tucked back to bring you back to your starting position. We're going to do two more. So you should really be feeling that the abs are working on this one. Good. Okay, and just push back, keep that back a little stretch. Okay, so we're just going to come forward onto our front now. So as you're on your front, again, think about that neutral position. So you don't want to be pushing the tummy down into the mat and drawing the pelvis away. You want to just have that nice neutral position. Keep thinking about just drawing that tummy button away from the mat as if there's something sharp coming through. Just, you'll feel them, those abdominal muscles will just switch on. All these muscles around your back will start to switch on, and that's what will build a nice, almost think of it as a nice girdle, just to keep everything in place and everything working properly. So we're just going to just start off with your stretch. So keep your hands in a diamond position. You're just going to draw a line in that nose, length through that spine, and just working within your own body. If this is too much for you, just reduce your range of movement. And then back down again. And again, draw that tummy button away from the mat. Draw a line in the nose. Don't allow those muscles just to relax too much in this one, else you'll start to drop down towards the mat and you'll start to compromise that lower back. And back down again. And again, tummy button tucked away. Inhale, exhale. And one last stretch. Just be mindful of where your head is. You don't want to be pushing the head back. Remember that. Think about your head as an extension of the spine, so we don't want any breaking of that nice line. Good. And back down again. Okay, so we're just going to look at a couple of an exercise now that's really going to sort of lengthen you through that spine and strengthen up the muscles at the in the upper back. So you're going to take your hands down by your side. You're going to have your palms facing up towards the ceiling, so like so. Have the hands quite close to your sides, making sure that your feet don't either push down or lift up. So you're going to just gently draw the tummy button away from that mat. Create that length through the spine, and then you're going to push your hands down into that mat and lift the upper body. So again, really focus on switching on the muscles through that core, through that centre, and then lowering back down again. So imagine that pin coming through that mat, drawing the tummy away from it, length, lift, hands push down. So you might feel this in the shoulders a little bit. Make sure the shoulders don't draw up, so those hands have walked right down towards those knees. And back down again. We're going to do 3 more of these. So prepare by drawing away from that imaginary pin, long through the spine, pushing the hands down into that mat, so down towards the floor. Keep that tummy button tucked away so you feel those abdominal muscles supporting. Back down. Okay, and again, prepare by drawing away from that imaginary pin, length through that spine. Lift, pushing down into the floor with the hands. Drawing those abdominal muscles away from that mat, making sure the hands and shoulders aren't lifting up towards the ears. Down, and last one. Tuck the tummy button, lengthen through the spine, hands push down. Switch those feet off, make sure you're not pushing the feet in or lifting the feet up. And back down. Good. Okay, right, so we'll just push back, give the back a little bit of flexion now. We've had it in extension, we'll just move it in the other direction. You can come up into your cat position, just give a little bit of a lift and lower. Again, remember, focus on that angle of the hip. Good. Okay, so we're going to come down onto our sides now, and quickly. So have your feet just, not very well positioned there. Have your feet just in front of the body so you can just see those toes as you look down. You don't want them too far back. And either have your arm underneath you. You don't want to be having your arm crumpled like that or like this, because it's going to create a break in your line. So either have a cushion underneath. If you find it really uncomfortable with the arm up there, you can have the arm in front of you, but have a couple of cushions so your head stays in line, it's not dropping down. Or if you're comfortable, you can have your arm underneath your head. So we're going to look at balance forwards and backwards now. So what we want to do is remember hip nicely planted, nicely stacked over your underneath hip. And again, that imaginary pin underneath your waist. So imagine you've got even like a swimming noodle or something underneath you, just to keep you nicely aligned. And you can have your arm up for the arm forward for this one if you need to. I'm just going to take the leg up to about hip height, draw back with the tummy button, and we're just going to take that leg slowly out behind. So you'll find now that you'll either want to tip forward or tip backwards. So really try and find your centre of balance, and then slowly bring that leg forward. So it doesn't need to be a sort of a massive swinging movement, because you will just end up rolling about then. It needs to be a controlled, slow movement. And the slower you move, the more you'll be able to feel what your body's doing. If you're super balanced, you can take your arm up. And you can just, as you find your balance in the exercise, you can just take the leg a little further back and just incorporate a stretch, and then forward again. But making sure as you're coming forward, slightly forward with the leg, you're not rolling onto the front of your hip. Good. Okay, we're going to do one more back and one more forward. And give that leg a bit of a rest, just give it a little bend up. Okay, right, so we're going to move over to our other side and we'll just repeat that exercise. And we move quite quickly between sides because I want it to be fresh in your mind how you feel on one side compared to the other side. So just make a mental note of what happened on that side, whether you were rolling forwards or backwards, and then we'll see whether you get the same or different effects on this side, or whether you're really balanced on this side as opposed to the other side. So it just depends on what way your body wants to go, whether it wants to twist or twist backwards. So you want to try and keep nice even feel on both sides. Okay, so remember, start off with the hand in front of you if you need to, and we're just going to bring that leg back as far as we can without rolling our body backwards. So you can have a little check on your body, just put your hand on your hip, just feel is it rolling back or forwards. If you're super balanced, put your hand up. Good. So draw back with that tummy button, or draw up with the pelvic floor, or have that cold wave coming up the body, whichever. works for you. So no rolling back, no rolling forward. Breathing. As you get a little bit more balance, you can take the leg a little further back. Just incorporate a little bit of a stretch at the front of the hip. Draw back that tummy button. Remember, make sure that the top hip stays stacked over the bottom hip, so you're not drawing that hip up towards the rib. Just one more little thing to think about. Okay, we're going to do one more forward. One more back. Then we'll stretch through the front of the hip. And rest. Give that hip a little bit of a rub if you need to, if it's burning a little bit. And then we're going to make our way up into your seated position. We're going to come into your mermaid. So we're going to work a little bit with this one on stretching, a little bit with strengthening through your oblique muscles, so the big muscles run down the side of your body. So remember, you can do this one in kneeling position, or you can do it in a cross-legged position if you find it really difficult to sit like this, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to inhale, as we exhale, take that arm up over the head, stretch the top of the body. Imagine you're between two panes of glass, so you're not coming forwards or backwards. And then think about shortening up through the top of the body to bring yourself back up into that position. And you're going to come over and stretch. And again, over we go. Stretching up, stay between those two panes of glass. Stretch. Really try and stretch that arm as far as you can down towards the mat. So you feel a nice stretch under the arm as well. Get quite tight under there. And back up into your starting position. So the aim is that you don't have to really push yourself up. This is shortening to work and bring your body up. You have to obviously little push, but don't rely on that arm. Again, stretch, feel like underneath of the arm, really stretching. Hold and breathe through that stretch, really focusing on reaching down as much as you can down towards that mat without lifting and cheating and lifting your bum off the mat too much. And then shortening up back into that start position. Good. Okay. So we're going to swap onto your other side now. So again, remember, try and keep your seat bones down onto the mat as much as possible. So we don't want to be creating the movement by lifting through there. Okay, so inhale to prepare. As you exhale, imagine your panes of glass stretching down so the hand feels like it's really reaching down towards that mat. Nice stretch underneath that arm. Inhale, exhale, and stretch over. Again, stretch. Feel as if you're really reaching down to that mat. Stay between those panes of glass. Inhale, shorten up through those muscles, bring yourself up and over. And last one. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale. Reach over. And then bring yourself back up into that start position and stretch in the opposite direction. Good, well done. Okay, right, then we'll pop over back onto our backs and we'll just finish off with some stretches. So we're going to going to keep your knees bent. Just establish that neutral position again. And we're just going to come into a stretch for your hamstring. So depending on how tight you are for your hamstrings, you might need to come up into a little bit of a sit-up position, and we're just going to bring that leg up towards your body. My hamstrings are really tight, so sitting down, lying down to do it is quite difficult. Just gently, just feel that stretch. Make sure your leg doesn't rotate. It might try and do that if you're very tight. And gently bend. Take the body back down. Have a breather for a second. Inhale, exhale, and we're going to bring the other leg up. So again, work within your own body. You might be able to lie down. You want to try and get that knee nice and straight, make sure you're not rotating. Or if you're very tight, you can just come up into a little bit of a lifted position through your upper body. And rest. Okay, you're just going to take the hands into a clasped position and just gently push up towards that ceiling. Keep your knees bent. Just take some breaths. And then just relax back down those arms. Okay. So we'll just gently roll over onto your front. Just push back into that child's pose. Just walk those hands away from you down on the mat. Take some breaths. And then we'll come back up into your cat position, so into your 4-point kneeling. We'll just make our way back up into your standing position just by tucking those toes underneath, pushing them up towards the ceiling, and then just going to walk the hands towards your feet. Just stay down, and then gently reset that spine, one vertebra at a time, just until you're up into your standing position again. Good. Well done everybody, hope you enjoyed the class. I'm sorry the light doesn't look like it's brilliant again. It was okay when the sun was out, but I hope you can all see me. Hopefully we can all see each other again in person soon, and we won't have to worry about this technology. But meanwhile, it is what it is, so I hope everything was okay for everyone, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Have a good week everybody. Thank you.